As the excitement builds for the 2016 Summer Olympics, it's not all fun and games in Rio.
And as I found on my recent trip to Rio de Janeiro, the people living there feel they have plenty to protest. The list of grievances is long, and so are the lines of the aggrieved.
Last year in Brazil more generally, there have been more people that have hit the streets in protest than in the rest of the world combined.
It would be foolish to think the protesters will suddenly quiet as the world's cameras show up for the Olympics. In fact, protests are already scheduled for the day of the opening ceremonies. Some of the issues have been there all along. Some of them are about the fact that those issues haven't been addressed by the buildup for the games.
There was tons of hope. It was palpable. And now there's almost the opposite, a sense of frustration and the sense of the city having lost this opportunity to invest in things that really mattered.
The Secretary of Transportation for the state of Rio de Janeiro is Rodrigo Vieira. On a walkthrough of one of the new subway stations built for the games, he insisted to me the promise is still there.
It's very important for us that we are building the future, and we are very confident that we are going to have the best Olympic Games ever had, and we are going to have a better city after the Games.
And yet the average Brazilian, smiling all the while, doesn't quite see it.
We tend to hide, to mask many things and try to be happy all the time for sure, but considering the Olympics and the price that we're going to pay for it, no good.
The argument over civil rights in Brazil seems almost gestational, not very far down the runway yet. I met Ali Johnson at the foot of Rio's epic Christ the Redeemer statue. He's a Wayne State professor on sabbatical right now, living in Rio.
A president is in the process of being impeached. The current president is an interim president. We'll have resolution in about 5 months to that situation. The Speaker of the Brazilian House is the Ethics Committee has recommended that he be kicked out, expelled from the House. So there's a lot going on, and not all of it is good.
As it does the world over, much of the unrest centers on those living in deep poverty. On my trip through the favela of Cabritos, I walked through the pressurized fault line between the criminals and the police. My guide, Gilmar Lopez, told me he fears both of them in equal measure. Yes, the dynamics that define much of the poverty in Brazil aren't all that foreign to Americans. Race troubles run deep here. They largely determine the wealth distribution, and the reach of those troubles stretches back centuries. This is an epic set of stairs in Rio. This is known as the Rock of Salt. On the bright side, this is thought to be the birthplace of samba music. On the not so bright side, it's called the Rock of Salt because that's what the slaves used to unload here. They cut these steps into the rock to make their work a little easier, but the slave trade in Rio de Janeiro was the largest in the world. Nearly 5 million slaves were brought to Brazil from Africa. And today, with the exception of Nigeria, Brazil has more people of African descent than any other country in the world. But some scholars would suggest that Brazil has never had its civil rights era. And as we're seeing in the U.S. today, the tension between blacks and the police is profound, especially in the favelas.
All of this stuff goes back, and there's never been a real effort to kind of talk about that history like we've had in the U.S., for example, since the Civil Rights Movement. Here in Brazil, we haven't had that.
So it's going to be really interesting to watch how this plays out. There are more protests on the streets in Brazil than all the rest of the world combined. It is kind of a pastime, as I mentioned, but we'll see, because obviously with a lot of the world's cameras there, there's a lot of people feeling this is their opportunity to air their grievances.
And I know, too, when you were there, just a few weeks ago, there seemed like there was so much that still needed to be done.
Yeah.
We thought there'd be progress, but they can't, obviously.
We'll see. I mean, we're 3 days away now, starting tomorrow, so we'll see. I think the competitions are going to be fine. It's a lot of the ancillary stuff that is going to be really worth watching, so we'll